You step onto a busy street, the hum of city life all around you, cars honking, people chatting, the rhythm of the modern world in full swing. But what if I told you that beneath the pavement, woven into the very fabric of these bustling streets, are echoes of civilizations long gone? Places where history didn't just fade away, it was buried, built over, or simply forgotten. Today, we're pulling back the layers of time to uncover 35 ancient sites hidden in plain sight, concealed within the landscapes we think we know. These aren't just ruins, they're silent witnesses to empires, rituals, and stories that refuse to disappear. Why do they remain tucked away beneath our cities, and what secrets are they keeping? From a temple lurking under a parking lot to an entire lost city beneath a metropolis, these discoveries will change how you see the world around you. The past isn't as distant as it seems. It's right underfoot, waiting to be rediscovered. There's something almost magnetic about standing in a place where history whispers through the cracks in the pavement. It's not just about the artifacts or the ruins, it's the stories they carry. Think about it. A modern apartment building might sit atop an ancient marketplace where traders once haggled over silk and spices, or a quiet park could conceal the foundations of a temple where rituals unfolded thousands of years ago. These hidden sites aren't just relics, they're time capsules waiting to be cracked open. What drives us to seek them out? Maybe it's the thrill of the unknown, the idea that beneath the familiar lies something extraordinary. Archaeologists often describe that moment of discovery like lightning striking. A routine construction project uncovers a mosaic, or a farmer's plow hits a buried statue. But it's not just luck. Behind every accidental find, there's usually a hint, an old map, a local legend, or even a strange pattern in the soil that leads researchers closer to the truth. And then there's the mystery. These places don't just show us how people lived, they make us question what we think we know. Take the Temple of Mithras in London, found during post-war rebuilding, an entire Roman sanctuary hidden beneath the city's financial district. Or Derinkuyu, the vast underground city in Turkey, carved out centuries ago and only rediscovered when a homeowner knocked down a wall. Each discovery rewrites a piece of history, proving that the past is far more layered than we ever imagined. But perhaps the most compelling part isn't just the ruins themselves, it's the people who once walked there. Standing where an ancient merchant, a priest, or a child once stood creates a bridge across time. That connection, that eerie sense of walking in someone else's footsteps, is what keeps us digging, exploring, and wondering what else might be hiding in plain sight. Beneath the constant hum of construction cranes and sprawling highways, ancient structures have found ways to survive, sometimes by sheer stubbornness, other times by clever design. Cities rise and fall, empires crumble, yet fragments of the past cling on, tucked between layers of concrete and steel. Take Rome, where entire underground chambers known as hypogee were deliberately filled with soil to protect them from invading armies. Centuries later, these sealed spaces emerged almost untouched, their frescoes still vibrant, as if time had skipped right over them. Not all survival stories are so intentional. In places like Mexico City, the great Aztec temple of Templo Mayor was buried not by human hands, but by a cycle of floods and colonial rebuilding. For generations, people walked over its ruins without realizing they stood atop a sacred pyramid. Then, in the late 1970s, workers digging for an electrical line struck a massive stone disc carved with the image of the moon goddess Coyolxauhqui. Suddenly, the city had to confront the past it had literally paved over. Shifting politics also play a role. When new rulers take power, they often rewrite history by burying the old symbols, sometimes literally. In Egypt, pharaohs dismantled predecessors' monuments to reuse the stones, inadvertently preserving them inside new structures. Meanwhile, in Turkey, Byzantine cisterns were repurposed as Ottoman storage rooms, their original purpose fading from memory until historians pieced the clues back together. Yet perhaps the most surprising survival tactic, pure neglect. In India, the Grand Vijayanagara Empire's capital was abandoned after invasion, its temples swallowed by jungle. Overgrown and forgotten, the site avoided modern demolition simply because no one remembered it was there. Now, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, its towering gopuram standing defiantly against time. But here's the twist. Today's construction crews, armed with bulldozers and blueprints, are some of history's most unlikely archaeologists. A subway expansion in Thessaloniki uncovered a Roman road. A parking lot excavation in Jerusalem revealed Herod's palace. Every time a backhoe hits stone instead of soil, we're forced to pause and ask, what else is hiding just beneath our feet? The answer keeps rewriting the story of who we are and who came before us. Technology has always redefined the boundaries of discovery, but today's tools have turned what was once science fiction into standard practice. Gone are the days when archaeologists relied solely on shovels and luck. Now a researcher can stand in an empty field, point a ground-penetrating radar device at the soil, and instantly reveal the ghostly outlines of buried walls, tombs, or even entire settlements, no digging required. It's like having X-ray vision for the past. Take LiDAR, for example. This laser-based mapping system cuts through dense jungle canopies to expose landscapes hidden for centuries. In Central America, it unveiled sprawling Mayan cities swallowed by vegetation structures so vast they've rewritten our understanding of the civilization's scale. The best part, no trees need to be cut, no sites disturbed. The earth gives up its secrets without a single scrape of a trowel. Then there's the quiet revolution happening in satellite imagery. High-resolution scans from space detect subtle shifts in vegetation or soil density, hinting at what lies beneath. In Egypt, these techniques pinpointed potential burial shafts in the Valley of the Kings, while in Italy, they revealed the footprint of a lost Roman villa beneath a wheat field. Even ancient irrigation channels, invisible to the naked eye, emerge as faint scars on the land when viewed from orbit. But technology isn't just for experts. Crowdsourcing platforms now let amateur historians and enthusiasts sift through drone footage or digitized manuscripts, often spotting details professionals miss. A retired teacher in Norway once noticed strange markings on a coastal scan. Turns out they were Viking ship graves. Meanwhile, 3D modeling software stitches fragments of pottery or collapsed walls back into their original forms, letting us walk through reconstructed temples as they stood millennia ago. The real magic happens when these tools work together. Ground scans guide excavations, satellite data narrows search areas, and virtual reality breathes life into ruins. Suddenly, a pile of stones becomes a bustling marketplace, a faded mural regains its color, and the whispers of history grow louder. What was once buried isn't just found, it's experienced. And with every scan, every pixel, we're not just uncovering the past, we're ensuring it won't vanish again. Every discovery comes with a responsibility, not just to uncover the past, but to decide how it should exist in the present. Picture this: construction workers breaking ground for a new shopping center suddenly uncover an ancient burial site. Do they halt the project, preserving the sacred ground, or proceed, prioritizing modern needs? These aren't hypothetical scenarios. From Athens to Angkor Wat, cities grapple with the tension between development and preservation, progress and memory. One argument favors excavation, bringing history into the light for education and wonder. Museums brim with pottery, jewelry, and tools that tell human stories, each artifact a voice from the shadows. But critics warn of the cost. Opening a tomb can expose delicate murals to air and humidity, fading them within years. The terracotta warriors in China, for instance, lost their original pigments minutes after exposure. Some argue certain sites are better left sealed, their secrets intact for future technologies to explore non-invasively. Then there's the human element. For indigenous communities, these sites aren't just archaeological curiosities, they're ancestral homes. In Australia, Aboriginal groups have successfully lobbied to repatriate sacred objects and reberi remains taken by researchers decades ago. Similar movements in North America challenge museums to return artifacts obtained under colonial rule. The question isn't just what we preserve, but who gets to decide. Urban expansion adds another layer of complexity. Istanbul's Byzantine-era walls have crumbled under the weight of subway vibrations. In Peru, squatters built homes atop the ruins of Chan Chan, unaware they were eroding a UNESCO site. Solutions exist, like Mexico City's museum built around Templo Mayor, where glass floors let visitors walk above excavated temples. But such projects require funding, political will, and public support, resources often in short supply. Perhaps the most revealing part of these debates isn't the answers, but what they say about our values. When we choose to save a crumbling mosque or repurpose an ancient aqueduct, we're deciding which threads of history remain woven into our modern tapestry. These choices echo beyond academia, shaping identity, tourism, even national pride. After all, preservation isn't just about guarding stones and bones. It's about honoring the lives they represent and asking what kind of ancestors we want to be. Beneath the glittering lights of modern Paris, past the bustling cafes and the swirl of traffic, lies a shadowy underworld few ever see. Descend through an unassuming entrance, and you'll find yourself in a silent maze of tunnels stretching for miles, their walls lined with the skulls and bones of nearly 6 million people. This is the Paris of the dead, a hidden city beneath the city where history whispers from every corner. These eerie passageways weren't always a necropolis. Centuries ago, Romans carved them as limestone quarries, extracting the very stone that built the Paris we know today. But by the late 1700s, the city's cemeteries overflowed, their stench permeating the streets. In a drastic solution, workers began transferring the remains here, stacking bones with an unsettling artistry. Tibias form geometric patterns, skulls stare blankly from alcoves. It's both a graveyard and a gruesome work of art. What's startling isn't just the scale, it's how ordinary the entrances are. Tourists might stroll right past a simple green kiosk near Denfert Rochereau station, unaware it's a portal to this underground realm. Only a fraction of the catacombs is open to the public. The rest remains off-limits, rumored to hide everything from clandestine WW2 resistance meetings to modern-day underground raves. Urban explorers whisper of secret chambers adorned with carvings, or tunnels that lead to forgotten corners beneath museums and metro stations. But the true power of this place isn't in its ghost stories, it's in the quiet confrontation with mortality. Walking those damp corridors, you can't escape the reality that the City of Light was built, quite literally, on layers of the departed. The catacombs force us to ask, how many other cities hide their past so literally beneath our feet? Paris may celebrate love and life above ground, but beneath it all, the bones remember. And yet, there's a strange beauty here. Sunlight will never touch these walls, but over time, moisture has painted them with delicate mineral swirls like nature's own frescoes. It's a reminder that even in darkness, time leaves its mark. The catacombs aren't just a relic, they're a living, breathing archive, one that reshapes our understanding of what it means to build, to bury, and to remember. Few places capture the paradoxical nature of disappearance and rediscovery quite like the Lost City of Tenya. Picture this, a quiet stretch of Greek farmland, olive groves swaying in the breeze, utterly ordinary at first glance. Yet beneath that unassuming soil lay the remnants of a city that once bustled with traders, artisans, and survivors of one of history's most famous wars. According to legend, Tenya was founded by Trojan prisoners brought to Greece after the fall of Troy. Rather than fading into obscurity, these survivors thrived, building a city so prosperous it minted its own coins and traded across the Mediterranean. Ancient texts whispered of its existence, but for centuries, Tenya was little more than a footnote until archaeologists, armed with clues from pottery fragments and weathered inscriptions, zeroed in on a patch of land near modern-day Chiliamodi. What they uncovered was astonishing. Intricately tiled floors hinting at lavish homes, the skeletal remains of public baths where citizens once gathered, even a network of wells that fed the city's thirst. Each discovery painted a picture of a society that had not just survived but flourished. Then came the mystery. Despite its wealth, Tenya vanished from historical records by the 6th century AD. Was it plague, invasion, or simply a slow unraveling as trade routes shifted? The most haunting detail, the city's final moments seem eerily quiet. Excavations show no signs of violent destruction, just abandoned buildings gradually reclaimed by earth. It's as if Tenya didn't so much fall as it simply exhaled and dissolved into the landscape. Today, standing in that tranquil farmland, you'd never guess that beneath your feet lies a city that outlived empires, only to be erased by time's quiet persistence. Yet Tenya's legacy lingers in the small things: a child's toy buried in the ruins, a coin dropped in haste. These fragments remind us that even the mightiest civilizations are fleeting, and that sometimes the ground beneath us holds stories far grander than we could ever imagine. Off the coast of Italy, where sunlight dances on the waves of the Bay of Naples, an opulent secret waits beneath the surface. This isn't just any stretch of ocean, it's the watery grave of Baie, a playground for Rome's elite that now rests silently under layers of time and tide. Imagine villas that once echoed with the laughter of emperors and poets, their marble halls now home to darting fish and swaying seaweed. The Mediterranean's gentle currents have turned this sunken city into an ethereal museum, where statues still stand in eerie perfection, as if frozen mid-conversation. Baie wasn't just another Roman town, it was the ultimate escape. Senators and generals flocked here for its thermal springs, its scandalous parties, and its famed decadence. Cicero wrote letters here. Nero allegedly plotted murders in its villas, but beneath the indulgence lay a deadly irony. The same volcanic forces that fed its luxurious hot springs would ultimately doom it. Over centuries, a mix of earthquakes and the slow rise of the sea swallowed entire neighborhoods, inch by relentless inch. By the Middle Ages, what remained above water was picked clean by scavengers, leaving the sea to claim the rest. Today, diving into Baie feels like trespassing in a dream. Schools of fish weave between crumbling columns, sunlight filtering through what were once grand archways. A statue of Odysseus, arm outstretched, seems to reach toward the surface as if begging for rescue. The most haunting sight, the Nymphaeum, a lavish grotto where Rome's powerful once reclined, now a ghostly tableau of benches and mosaics blanketed in coral. Nature didn't just conquer Baie, it adorned it, turning human ambition into an underwater gallery. Yet this place isn't just a relic, it's a mirror. The forces that sank Baie, seismic shifts, rising waters, are the same threats coastal cities face today. There's a humbling lesson here. No amount of wealth or power can outmaneuver the planet's restless energy. But Baie's story isn't purely tragic. Unlike Pompeii, preserved in a single cataclysmic moment, Baie slipped away gradually, giving its residents time to flee. Its ruins aren't a snapshot of panic, but of quiet surrender, and in that surrender there's an unexpected grace. The sea didn't destroy Baie, it transformed it, offering immortality of a different kind, one where time moves slower and the past never truly fades. So the next time you hear about a modern city battling rising tides, think of Baie. Its marble floors may be algae-strewn now, but they still gleam under the Mediterranean sun, a reminder that even in loss, beauty persists. The Romans built for eternity, never imagining their grandeur would find eternity not in stone, but in the silent embrace of the sea. Deep in the heart of Cambodia's jungle, where sunlight filters through a dense canopy of leaves, lies a place where time itself seems to twist and bend. Angkor Wat's iconic towers draw millions of visitors each year, but beyond the postcard-perfect main temple sprawls an entire world of forgotten sanctuaries, structures so entangled with the forest that it's hard to tell where nature ends and human craftsmanship begins. These hidden temples, scattered across hundreds of square miles, tell a different story than their famous counterpart. While Angkor Wat stands as a monument to order and symmetry, its lesser-known siblings have surrendered to chaos. Giant strangler fig roots snake through doorways, their tendrils prying apart stone bricks with slow, relentless force. Vines drape over crumbling facades like cascades of living embroidery. It's a breathtaking paradox. The same jungle that consumed these sites also preserved them, shielding them from looters and the elements for centuries. Archaeologists now realize Angkor wasn't just a city. It was a civilization the size of modern-day Los Angeles, its network of temples, reservoirs, and roads revealing a society of astonishing sophistication. Recent LiDAR scans have exposed foundations of unknown shrines buried under vegetation, proving even now we've only scratched the surface. One such discovery, the sprawling Mahendraparvata complex, lay hidden on a mountain until airborne lasers revealed its grid-like streets beneath the undergrowth. What makes these places so magnetic isn't just their scale, but their intimacy. In the quiet of Ta Prohm, where trees grow from crumbling galleries, you can still see the delicate carvings of celestial dancers, their stone smiles untouched by time. At Beng Melia, a temple left unrestored, moss-covered corridors invite exploration like a real-life adventure puzzle. These sites whisper of daily life in the Khmer Empire, monks chanting in courtyards, artisans polishing sandstone, farmers tending rice paddies that fed a metropolis. Yet the greatest revelation might be how these temples mirror the empire's fate. Just as the jungle reclaimed them, history swallowed the Khmer's dominance, not with a dramatic collapse, but through gradual shifts in trade, climate, and power. Today, as scientists race to document these vulnerable sites before erosion or tourism claims them, each new carving translated, each reservoir mapped, adds another piece to humanity's shared story. Angkor's hidden temples aren't just relics. They're a reminder that even the grandest civilizations leave fragments behind, waiting patiently for the world to notice. Now, let's descend not just a few feet, but 8 stories deep, into a labyrinth so vast it could hold an entire civilization beneath the earth. In the heart of Turkey's Cappadocia region, where fairy chimneys dot the landscape like something from a dream, lies Derinkuyu, an underground city of staggering scale and sophistication. This isn't just a few tunnels or caves. It's a fully functional metropolis carved entirely into soft volcanic rock, a hidden fortress designed to vanish from sight at a moment's notice. Imagine the scene. Invaders sweep across the land and suddenly, whole communities disappear, not fleeing but descending. Heavy stone doors like millstones roll shut behind them, blending seamlessly into the rock face. Above ground, nothing betrays their presence, but below, life continues. Derinkuyu could shelter up to 20,000 people for months, with everything they needed to survive. Stables for livestock, wine presses for sustenance, even chapels for worship. Ventilation shafts, some stretching nearly 200 feet to the surface, provided fresh air while masking any trace of smoke from fires. It wasn't just refuge, it was a self-contained world. The precision of Derinkuyu's construction baffles even modern engineers. passageways narrow abruptly to force attackers into single file, while hidden escape routes weave through the darkness. Some corridors could be sealed from the inside with boulders, trapping enemies in dead ends, and the system didn't stand alone. Tunnels connected to other underground cities, creating a subterranean network spanning miles. This wasn't just survival, it was strategy, a testament to the resourcefulness of the ancient Phrygians, who first carved these chambers nearly 3,000 years ago. Yet the most haunting question isn't how they built it, but why they needed to. Derinkuyu's layers of history read like a chronicle of human conflict. Early Christians hid here from Roman persecutors. Byzantine monks expanded its chapels. Later, locals evaded Mongol raids. Each generation left its mark, adapting the city for new threats. The very rock seems to whisper of resilience, of communities who refused to be erased, even when outnumbered and outmatched. Today, only a fraction of Derinkuyu is open to explorers, but walking its dimly lit passages, you can't help but feel the weight of those who once called this place home. Cool air brushes your skin just as it did for them. Your footsteps echo where theirs did, and in the silence you realize this isn't just a relic of the past. It's a blueprint for endurance, a reminder that sometimes the safest place isn't on the battlefield, but beneath it, hidden in plain sight. While Egypt's pyramids dominate the global imagination, just across the border in Sudan, a rival empire left behind a secret that few have seen. Row after row of steep, narrow pyramids rising from the desert like golden spikes. This is Meroe, where more than 200 tombs stand as a testament to the kingdom of Kush, a civilization that once rivaled Egypt in power, trade, and architectural ambition. What's striking isn't just their number, it's their defiance. Unlike the smooth, towering perfection of Giza, Meroe's pyramids are sharp, angled, and compact, some barely taller than a two-story house. But don't let their size fool you. These structures were built by a culture that refused to live in Egypt's shadow. Kushite rulers, decked in gold and worshipped as gods, borrowed architectural ideas from their northern neighbors, then made them distinctly their own. The hieroglyphs here aren't just copied, they're rewritten in a Kushite script that scholars are still deciphering today. For centuries, the desert guarded these secrets. Shifting sands buried entire pyramids up to their peaks, leaving only eerie triangles poking above the dunes. Locals whispered about them, but the wider world forgot until European explorers in the 19th century stumbled upon them, mistaking them at first for mere rock formations. Even now, many of the tombs remain unexcavated, their chambers likely holding artifacts that could rewrite our understanding of African trade networks. The real magic of Meroe, though, lies in its untold stories. These pyramids weren't just royal vanity projects, they were statements of a thriving cosmopolitan hub. Iron smelting furnaces nearby reveal a society ahead of its time technologically. Wall carvings show Kushite queens leading armies, their bows drawn against Roman legions. And then there's the mystery of their decline. By the 4th century AD, the kingdom faded, its pyramids left to bake under the sun, their builders' names nearly erased from history. Standing among them now, with the wind howling through their empty doorways, you realize something profound. These aren't just echoes of a lost kingdom, they're proof that history isn't a single narrative. While Egypt's monuments became icons, Meroe's waited patiently in the sands, daring us to look beyond the familiar and discover a legacy just as grand. The pyramids here don't just mark graves, they guard a challenge, to remember the empires that textbooks overlooked and to listen for the whispers of those who built them. High on the rugged plateaus of northern Ethiopia, where the air tastes of incense and ancient chants echo off the cliffs, lies a site that defies logic. Entire churches hewn not from blocks of stone, but from the living earth itself. Welcome to Lalibela, where faith literally carved itself into existence. These 11 medieval churches, each painstakingly excavated downward from solid volcanic rock, weren't built, they were uncovered. Imagine sculptors chiseling away everything that wasn't a cathedral, leaving behind towering arches, delicate windows, and labyrinthine tunnels, all without adding a single brick. The result, structures so seamlessly fused with the landscape that from above, only their cruciform shapes betray their presence. But why go to such extremes? The answer whispers through the cool shadows of Bet Georges, the most iconic of these subterranean marvels. Shaped like a perfect Greek cross, this church descends 3 stories below ground, its roof flush with the surrounding terrain. Local tradition claims angels lent their tools to King Lalibela in the 12th century, helping him create a New Jerusalem for pilgrims who could no longer reach the Holy Land. Whether divine intervention or human genius, the engineering is undeniable. Intricate drainage channels prevent flooding during rains. Hidden passages allowed priests to appear as if by miracle during ceremonies. What's most astonishing isn't just the craftsmanship, it's that these sacred spaces never stopped breathing with life. Unlike ruins frozen in time, Lalibela's churches pulse with devotion. Priests in white robes still shuffle across worn stone floors, their hymns bouncing off walls polished smooth by centuries of fingertips. In dim alcoves, flickering candlelight illuminates ancient frescoes of saints, their colors stubbornly vibrant despite the passage of 800 years. The true magic of Lalibela, though, lies in its paradox. These churches were hidden to protect them, yet their very concealment made them eternal. While invaders and time eroded surface monuments, these sunken sanctuaries survived untouched, their rituals unbroken. Today, UNESCO safeguards the site, but the earth itself remains the greatest guardian. To walk among them isn't just to witness history, it's to feel the weight of something profound. Faith so enduring it literally reshaped the earth, then dared the world to find it. When Vesuvius unleashed its fury in 79 AD, history froze an entire coastline in a single catastrophic moment. Everyone knows Pompeii, the city immortalized in plaster casts and dramatic ruins. But just a few miles away, 2 other communities met the same fate, their stories preserved with stunning clarity beneath layers of volcanic debris. Herculaneum and Stabiae may not have Pompeii's household name recognition, but what they lack in fame, they make up for in intimate, heart-wrenching glimpses of Roman life. Herculaneum's tragedy unfolded differently from Pompeii's. While Pompeii was buried under falling pumice, Herculaneum was hit by a pyroclastic surge, a superheated wave of gas and ash that raced downhill at 100 miles per hour. The result, a near-perfect preservation of wooden furniture, delicate frescoes, even food on the table. Walk its streets today, and you'll see carbonized beams from second-story balconies, as if the owners might return any moment. Then there are the scrolls' entire libraries reduced to brittle charcoal, their contents only now being deciphered using high-tech X-rays. Stabiae, often overlooked even by historians, offers its own revelations. Unlike its neighbors, this wasn't a bustling commercial hub. It was a resort town for Rome's elite, where wealthy families retreated to seaside villas. The eruption caught these estates mid-renovation, leaving behind paint pots, scaffolding, and half-finished mosaics. One villa's frescoes depict an idyllic garden so lifelike, you can almost hear the rustle of leaves. The contrast is striking, luxury frozen in the midst of chaos. The real power of these sites lies in their humanity. In Herculaneum's boat sheds, skeletons huddled together, families who hoped the shore would offer safety. At Stabiae, a child's doodle scrawled on a wall speaks across millennia. These weren't just cities lost, they were conversations interrupted, meals left uneaten, laughter cut short. While Pompeii shows us the spectacle of disaster, Herculaneum and Stabiae remind us of the ordinary moments that make history real. Perhaps it's time we give these silent neighbors the attention they deserve. Because in their quiet streets, untouched by the crowds that flock to Pompeii, we find something rare. History not as a monument, but as a lived experience, raw, intimate, and achingly human. The Great Wall of China snakes across mountains and valleys like a stone dragon, an iconic symbol of human perseverance. But what if I told you that centuries after its construction, this architectural marvel still guards mysteries? Beyond the postcard, perfect battlements lie hidden tunnels, secret chambers, and entire sections deliberately erased from view, remnants of an ancient game of military cat and mouse. Engineers of the Ming Dynasty didn't just build a barrier, they designed a labyrinth. While some passages served as supply routes, allowing troops to move undetected, others were pure deception. False corridors would abruptly dead-end, trapping invaders in narrow choke points where defenders could strike from above. In the Gubeikou section, archaeologists uncovered a network of phantom walls, facades constructed to mimic real fortifications, luring enemy scouts into wasting precious time and resources. The brilliance wasn't just in stone and mortar, it was in psychology. Modern technology is finally revealing how deep the secrets go. Infrared scans along remote stretches in Liaoning province detected hollow spaces beneath the surface, likely hidden granaries or armories. Local farmers occasionally stumble upon undocumented watchtowers swallowed by vegetation, their staircases leading to rooms untouched for centuries. Even now, restoration teams discover inscriptions left by builders, coded messages marking emergency, escape routes, or warnings of unstable terrain. What's most striking, though, isn't just the walls' hidden mechanics, it's the mindset behind them. These weren't panic rooms or last-ditch hideouts. They were calculated strategies, evidence of a culture that thought 10 moves ahead. Every concealed tunnel reflects an understanding of human nature, the predictability of invaders, the advantage of surprise, the power of illusion. Standing atop the wall today, tourists admire the panoramic views, unaware that beneath their feet, history hums in the darkness. The stones may seem silent, but they whisper of a time when survival depended on outthinking your enemy, not just outbuilding them. And with each new discovery, we're reminded that the greatest defenses aren't always the ones we can see. Beneath the turquoise waters of Alexandria's harbor, where the Mediterranean glitters under the sun, an entire kingdom sleeps. This isn't just any ruin, it's the lost palace of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, its shattered columns and toppled statues now home to darting fish and swaying seaweed. For centuries, this underwater realm existed only in legends, whispered about in ancient texts but never found until marine archaeologists discovered the truth. The sea hadn't erased Cleopatra's world, it had preserved it. The story of this sunken palace begins with catastrophe. In the 4th century AD, a series of earthquakes and tsunamis struck the coast, swallowing whole neighborhoods of Alexandria, including the royal quarter where Cleopatra once ruled. The sea poured into marble halls, drowning gardens where scholars debated philosophy and courtyards where diplomats negotiated the fate of empires. Yet unlike Pompeii, frozen in a single moment, this city sank slowly, its treasures settling into the sand, waiting. Diving here today is like stepping into a dream. Golden light filters through the water, illuminating sphinxes staring silently into the blue, their features still sharp despite centuries under the waves. A colossal statue of Isis, the goddess Cleopatra identified with, lies half buried, her stone gaze fixed on some distant horizon. Even the mundane becomes extraordinary. Pottery shards from royal kitchens, fragments of glassware that once held wine for queens and conquerors. Every artifact tells a story not just of opulence, but of a multicultural hub where Egyptian, Greek, and Roman influences merged. What makes this site so compelling isn't just its physical remains, it's the mythology that clings to it. Cleopatra's palace wasn't just a political center, it was a stage for her legendary romance with Mark Antony. their tumultuous lives ending in tragedy just as the sea claimed their home. Some archaeologists even speculate that their lost tombs, never definitively found, could lie somewhere in this underwater labyrinth, hidden beneath layers of sand and time. Yet the real magic lies in how the sea has transformed destruction into preservation. Saltwater protected these relics from the looting and erosion that ravaged land-based sites. Coral encrusts a fallen column not as a scar but as a natural embrace. Marine archaeologists now use 3D mapping to reconstruct the palace's layout, revealing a complex of temples, villas, and even the Timonium, a retreat Mark Antony built after his defeat. Each discovery peels back another layer, showing us not just a queen's palace, but a living, breathing city frozen mid-collapse. Standing on Alexandria's shore today, it's hard not to feel the weight of what lies beneath the waves. The water's surface reflects modern boats and bustling streets, but just below, history pulses in the quiet. Cleopatra's palace reminds us that the past isn't always buried. Sometimes it's submerged, waiting for us to dive deeper. And with every artifact raised, every column mapped, we're not just recovering lost treasures, we're resurrecting the echoes of a woman who shaped the ancient world and the kingdom that vanished with her. High in the cloud-wrapped peaks of the Andes, where the air thins and the jungle clings stubbornly to steep slopes, stand silent sentinels of a lost empire. Machu Picchu may draw the crowds, but beyond its terraced splendor lies a network of hidden fortresses, strategic, imposing, and deliberately obscured by nature's harsh embrace. These aren't just ruins, they're the battle scars and triumphs of the Inca Empire, etched into stone at the edge of the world. Take Sacsayhuaman, for instance. Perched above Cusco, this fortress isn't built on the mountain, it's fused with it. Its zigzagging walls, constructed from boulders so precisely cut that not even a blade of grass can slip between them, were designed to break attacking forces into chaotic fragments. Yet for all its martial genius, the Spanish conquistadors who stumbled upon it in the 16th century couldn't believe it was crafted by human hands. They attributed it to demons or giants, unable to fathom how an untouched people moved stones weighing hundreds of tons without wheels or iron tools. Then there's Choqquequirao, Machu Picchu's elusive sister. Accessible only by a grueling multi-day trek, its terraces spill down the mountainside like a frozen cascade. Unlike its famous counterpart, Choqquequirao was never lost, just ignored. The jungle swallowed it whole, deterring all but the most determined explorers. Even today, only a fraction has been cleared, leaving the rest to whisper of undiscovered tombs and ceremonial plazas. What makes this site extraordinary isn't just its isolation, but its defiance. Built as a final stronghold for Inca resistance, it sheltered holdouts who refused to surrender long after the empire fell. The real revelation, though, lies in why the Inca chose such unforgiving terrain. These weren't just defensive positions, they were psychological masterstrokes. An invading army, already struggling with altitude sickness, would face sheer cliffs, hidden trapdoors, and vertigo-inducing staircases carved into cliff faces. At Pucará, a red-hued outpost guarded the sacred valley, its watchtowers positioned to relay signals via mirrored flashes across vast distances. The message was clear: the mountains themselves were the Incas' greatest ally. Modern archaeologists are still decoding the secrets these fortresses hold. LiDAR scans reveal undocumented trails connecting remote sites, suggesting a communication network far more sophisticated than previously thought. Some theorize that certain fortresses had dual purposes: military strongholds by design, but also ceremonial centers where rituals invoked the mountain gods for protection. After all, to the Inca, these peaks weren't just stone. They were Apus, living deities, standing among these ruins today, buffeted by winds that howl through empty doorways. you can almost hear the echoes of an empire that refused to be conquered easily. The stones tell of engineers who bent landscapes to their will, of warriors who turned elevation into advantage, and of a culture that understood one timeless truth. Sometimes the best way to protect your legacy is to hide it in plain sight, where the earth itself becomes your fortress. Few travelers realize that beyond Petra's iconic treasury, where golden sandstone glows under the desert sun, lies a quieter, more mysterious world. Just a short distance away, tucked into the same rugged cliffs, stand Petra's forgotten siblings, Siq al-Barid and Little Petra. These overlooked ruins hold just as much wonder minus the crowds, offering an unfiltered window into the lives of the ancient Nabateans. Siq al-Barid, often called Little Petra, isn't just a smaller version of its famous neighbor, it's a time capsule. Walk through its narrow gorge and you'll find dining chambers carved directly into the rock, their walls still stained with soot from ancient feasts. Here, traders and travelers rested along the spice routes, sheltered beneath frescoes of grapevines and mythological creatures. Unlike the grandeur of Petra's monuments, these spaces feel intimate, as if the whispers of their occupants still linger in the cool stone air. Then there's Al-Baidha, a Neolithic settlement older than Petra itself. While the Nabateans carved their legacy into cliffs, Al-Baidha's circular stone foundations tell a far older story, one of humanity's first steps toward permanent settlement. Archaeologists uncovered hearths where families cooked meals 9,000 years ago and tools crafted from flint and obsidian. Standing here, you're not just looking at ruins, you're witnessing the dawn of civilization in this region, a prologue to Petra's golden age. What makes these sites so compelling isn't just their age or artistry, but their resilience. Petra's grandeur was designed to impress, but its quieter neighbors survived precisely because they stayed humble. While conquerors plundered the treasury and earthquakes toppled Petra's temples, Siq al-Barid and Al-Baidha endured, tucked away like secrets the desert refused to surrender. Today, they offer something rare, a chance to walk through history without tour groups, to trace your fingers over carvings untouched by crowds, and to wonder what other stories might still lie hidden in these hills. For those willing to venture beyond the postcard views, Petra's lesser-known siblings hold a revelation. Sometimes the most profound connections to the past aren't found in the spotlight, but in the shadows just beside it. The desert has guarded these places for centuries, waiting for curious minds to listen. Beneath Jerusalem's bustling markets and sacred landmarks, where pilgrims and locals weave through sunlit alleyways, lies a shadowy maze that few ever see, a hidden network of tunnels carved deep into the bedrock. These aren't just empty passageways, they're time capsules of faith, rebellion, and survival, etched into the stone beneath one of the world's most contested cities. Step into this underground realm, and you're walking the same paths where priests once carried temple treasures, where rebels plotted against empires, and where whispers of ancient rituals still cling to the damp walls. The Warren's shaft system, dating back over 2,000 years, reveals astonishing engineering. This subterranean water channel, hidden beneath the city of David, allowed residents to access freshwater even during sieges, a lifeline disguised as mere rock. But the tunnel's purposes weren't always practical. Some, like the recently discovered passage near the Western Wall, were likely used by Jewish pilgrims journeying to the Temple Mount, their footsteps echoing through narrow corridors lit only by oil lamps. Others served as escape routes during revolts, their existence known only to a desperate few. Then there's the intrigue. Beneath the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, long sealed chambers hint at clandestine meetings during the Crusades. In the Siloam Tunnel, 8th century BC, inscriptions tell of workmen digging from opposite ends, their chisels finally meeting in the middle, a feat of precision that still baffles engineers. Every twist and turn holds layers of meaning. Roman soldiers carved graffiti into the walls, Ottoman rulers repurposed tunnels as cisterns, and modern archaeologists occasionally stumble upon artifacts, a child's toy, a rusted dagger that humanized the stone. What makes Jerusalem's underground so mesmerizing isn't just its age, but its unresolved mysteries. Some tunnels remain unexplored, blocked by debris or political tension. Others spark debates like the controversial Tunnel of the Priests, said to connect sacred sites beneath Muslim and Jewish quarters. Walking these passages, you're not just tracing history, you're navigating the fault lines of belief and power that still shape the city above. The true magic, though, lies in the contrast. Upstairs, Jerusalem thrums with prayers and crowds. Downstairs, the air is still, the walls rough with centuries of touch. It's a reminder that beneath every holy city, there's another story, one written not in scripture but in stone, waiting for those willing to listen. And as archaeologists keep uncovering new chambers, one thing becomes clear: Jerusalem's deepest secrets are still rising to the surface. Off the southern coast of Greece, where the Aegean Sea shimmers under the Mediterranean sun, an entire city lies frozen in time beneath the waves. This isn't just any underwater ruin, it's Pavloptri, a sprawling Bronze Age settlement that sank beneath the sea over 5,000 years ago, its cobbled streets and stone foundations preserved with uncanny clarity. To put that into perspective, this city was already ancient when the Great Pyramids were still being built. What makes Pavloptri extraordinary isn't just its age, it's the eerie completeness of its layout. Unlike other submerged cities where only fragments remain, here you can still trace the grid of streets as they were planned millennia ago. Two-story houses stand with walls intact, courtyards hint at long-vanished family gatherings, and ceramic jars litter the seabed where they were last set down. Archaeologists have even mapped out a central marketplace and what might be a religious complex, offering a rare glimpse into how these early societies organized their lives. The real mystery, though, is how Pavloptri ended up underwater. Unlike volcanic disasters like Pompeii or earthquake-sunk cities like Baie, there's no clear catastrophe to blame. Instead, scientists believe rising sea levels, a slow, inexorable process, gradually swallowed the city over generations. Imagine residents watching the waves creep closer each year until finally the sea claimed their homes for good. That gradual surrender left the structures remarkably undisturbed, as if the city simply exhaled and let the water take it. Diving here today feels like stepping into a ghostly blueprint of urban life before recorded history. Schools of fish dart through doorways that once echoed with human voices. Octopuses nestle in pots meant for grain or oil, but the most haunting detail: footprints, yes, actual footprints pressed into the seabed, preserved in the sediment, perhaps from a child running through wet clay or a worker shaping bricks. These aren't just ruins, they're frozen moments, tiny echoes of lives lived at the dawn of civilization. Pavloptri's silence speaks volumes. Unlike later cities adorned with inscriptions and statues, this place has no written records, no grand monuments to boast of its past. Its story is told solely through stones and artifacts, a puzzle researchers are still piecing together. Yet in that simplicity lies its power. This isn't a city of kings or conquests, it's a place where ordinary people built, traded, and dreamed, only to vanish beneath the waves. And now, as marine archaeologists uncover more of its secrets, Pavloptri reminds us that even the oldest human footprints can resurface, waiting to be rediscovered. Towering above the rolling plains of central Greece, colossal rock formations rise like nature's own skyscrapers, sheer, smooth, and seemingly impossible to climb. Yet perched atop these pinnacles, as if suspended between earth and sky, sit the monasteries of Meteora. These aren't just buildings, they're acts of defiance, testaments to human determination and faith that have clung to these rocks for over 600 years. Imagine the dedication it took to haul stones, timber, and even entire communities up these vertical cliffs, where the only footholds were fraying ropes and sheer nerve. The monks who built these sanctuaries weren't just seeking solitude, they were chasing the divine. In the 14th century, as the Byzantine Empire crumbled and Ottoman armies advanced, these towering spires became natural fortresses. Supplies were hoisted in nets, visitors ascended by precarious rope ladders, and danger was a constant companion. One slip, one frayed fiber, and the descent was fatal. Yet for generations, this isolation was the point. The higher the monastery, the closer to God, or so the belief went. What's astonishing isn't just their construction, but their endurance. Of the original 24 monasteries, 6 still stand today, their frescoed chapels and wooden balconies clinging stubbornly to the cliffs. Step inside the Great Meteoron, the largest and oldest of them all, and you'll find walls adorned with vibrant murals of saints and martyrs, their colors miraculously preserved against centuries of wind and weather. The scent of incense hangs heavy in the air, just as it did when monks first lit braziers here in the 1300s. But perhaps the most striking detail is how Meteor's monasteries blend seamlessly with the landscape. The rocks weren't just foundations, they were partners in worship. Caves pockmark the cliffs, some still bear the soot marks of hermit monks who lived there centuries before the monasteries rose. Even now, the interplay of light and shadow transforms the stones at dawn, casting them in hues of gold and amber, as if the very earth is radiating holiness. Modern visitors no longer need rope ladders, stone steps carved in the 1920s wind their way up the pillars, yet the sense of awe remains unchanged. Standing on a monastery balcony with the world sprawled dizzyingly below, you can almost hear the echoes of chanting carried on the wind. It's a reminder that some places aren't just built, they're revealed, as much a part of the landscape as the rocks themselves. And in their improbable heights, Meteor's monasteries whisper a timeless truth. Sometimes the greatest sanctuaries are the ones that dare to rise above the chaos of the world. In the heart of modern Cartagena, where cafes spill onto sunlit plazas and the murmur of daily life fills the air, construction crews stumbled upon something extraordinary in the 1980s, not just scattered ruins, but an entire Roman theater buried beneath layers of time. As bulldozers peeled back the earth, marble columns emerged like silent sentinels, their surfaces still gleaming faintly under centuries of dust. The discovery wasn't just a stroke of luck, it was a wake-up call, forcing the city to confront the layers of history it had literally built upon. This wasn't a modest performance space, it was a grand theater designed to seat 6,000. Its semicircular seating tiers fanning out with mathematical precision. Built during the reign of Augustus in the 1st century BC, it thrived as a cultural hub where citizens gathered to watch comedies, tragedies, and political spectacles. But as the Roman Empire waned, the theater vanished piece by piece, its stones repurposed for medieval churches, its foundations swallowed by market stalls and homes. By the Middle Ages, even its memory had faded, leaving no hint of the grandeur beneath the cobblestones. What makes Cartagena's theater so compelling isn't just its physical preservation, it's the emotional ripple effect of its rediscovery. Locals who'd walked these streets for generations suddenly saw their city with new eyes. The excavation became a catalyst, igniting a citywide movement to reclaim its Roman identity. Archaeologists worked alongside residents, carefully dismantling later structures that had encroached on the site. A medieval church, built partially from the theater's marble, was painstakingly relocated brick by brick to reveal the ancient stage beneath. Today, stepping into the restored theater feels like crossing a threshold in time. Original inscriptions still mark the seating sections, revealing where elite patrons once sat. The stage wall, though weathered, stands tall enough to hint at its former splendor, adorned with statues of gods and emperors. but the true magic lies in its afterlife. This isn't just a museum piece. The theater has been reborn as a living venue, hosting concerts and plays under the stars, an echo of its original purpose 2,000 years later. Cartagena's story offers a powerful lesson in cultural redemption. Unlike ruins preserved in isolation, this theater's revival required a community to weigh progress against heritage and choose both. Its success has inspired similar projects from Lebanon to London, proving that sometimes the past doesn't just belong in textbooks. It can rise quite literally from beneath our feet and remind us that history's greatest stages are those that continue to hold an audience. Few monuments ignite the imagination like the Great Sphinx of Giza, its weather-worn face staring impassively across the sands, guarding secrets older than the pyramids themselves. But what if the real mystery isn't just what we see above ground, but what lies beneath? For decades, researchers have whispered about hidden chambers and tunnels snaking below the Sphinx's massive paws, a subterranean labyrinth that could rewrite history. Ground-penetrating radar scans have revealed tantalizing clues, voids and anomalies deep under the limestone bedrock, their shapes too precise to be natural formations. Some theorists believe these could be undiscovered tombs, perhaps even the lost burial place of a forgotten pharaoh. Others speculate about the mythical Hall of Records, an ancient library said to hold the wisdom of Atlantis, though mainstream archaeologists remain skeptical. The truth, no one knows for sure yet. What makes these hidden spaces so compelling isn't just their potential treasures, but their defiance of easy discovery. Unlike other Egyptian sites where hieroglyphs or artifacts provide context, the Sphinx guards its secrets in silence. Early excavations in the 1980s uncovered narrow tunnels beneath the statue, but political tensions and preservation concerns halted further exploration. Even today, the Egyptian government tightly controls research, leaving tantalizing questions unanswered. Yet the Sphinx's allure isn't just about what might be physically hidden, it's about the stories we project onto it. From Napoleon's engineers chipping at its nose in search of entryways to modern conspiracy theories about extraterrestrial connections, this monument has always been a mirror for our fascination with the unknown. Every scan, every probe peels back another layer of possibility. Standing before the Sphinx at sunset, as shadows stretch across its weathered features, it's hard not to wonder, after thousands of years, is the world ready for what might still lie beneath? The sands of Egypt have yielded surprises before. Perhaps the greatest reveal is yet to come. Rising 400 feet above the emerald jungles of Sri Lanka, a sheer column of rock defies gravity. Its flattened summit crowned with the ruins of a palace so audacious it feels like something from legend. This is Sigiriya, the Lion Rock, a fortress so ingeniously designed that even today, engineers marvel at how its builders conquered the impossible. What sets Sigiriya apart isn't just its height, it's the sheer audacity of its creation. In the 5th century, King Kashyapa transformed this volcanic plug into a royal citadel, complete with shimmering water gardens at its base and frescoed galleries midway up the cliff. The most breathtaking feature, a colossal lion sculpture carved into the rock face, its massive paws framing the entrance to a staircase that once led through the beast's throat to the palace above. Today, only the paws remain, but they're enough to spark the imagination. What kind of ruler dared to make his home in the sky, guarded by a stone sentinel? The artistry here rivals anything from the ancient world. Halfway up the cliff, sheltered in a natural alcove, the Sigiriya damsels' frescoes depict ethereal women adorned with flowers and jewels, their colors still radiant after 1,500 years. Historians still debate their identities. Are they celestial nymphs, royal concubines, or portraits of Kashyapa's court? What's certain is their mastery. The pigments were mixed with honey and egg whites for durability, a testament to the artisan's foresight. But perhaps the most astonishing feat is Sigiriya's hydraulic system. At the base of the rock, a network of canals, fountains, and reflective pools once turned the jungle into a paradise. Even now, during seasonal rains, ancient underground channels spring to life, sending water cascading through stone conduits, an engineering marvel that functioned without pumps, relying solely on gravity and precise gradients. How did they achieve such precision without modern tools? The answer lies in the rock itself, where chisel marks reveal a blueprint carved directly into the mountain. After Kashiapa's death, Sigiriya was abandoned, swallowed by vines, and forgotten for centuries. Buddhist monks later used it as a monastery, their quiet footsteps echoing through halls built for a king. That long slumber, hidden from invaders and the elements, preserved its wonders until British explorers stumbled upon it in the 1800s. Now a UNESCO site, Sigiriya stands not just as a monument to human ambition, but to nature's power to both conceal and protect. Climbing the iron staircases that cling to the rock today, with the wind tugging at your clothes and the distant cries of peacocks rising from the jungle below, you realize something profound. Sigiriya wasn't just built to impress, it was designed to transcend. Every step, every fresco, every whispering fountain was a declaration that even the sky wasn't a limit. And as the sun sets, painting the rock in fiery hues, you can almost hear the echoes of a king who dared to carve his legacy into the heavens. Beneath the turquoise waves off India's Coromandel coast, where fishermen have cast their nets for generations, lie the ghostly outlines of something extraordinary, a cluster of stone temples, their intricate carvings slowly emerging from the seabed. This is Mahabalipuram's hidden legacy, a sacred complex swallowed by the ocean centuries ago, only to resurface in the most unexpected way. For ages, locals spoke of the 7 pagodas, a group of shore temples so magnificent that the gods grew jealous and submerged all but one. Sailors whispered of glimpsing shadowy spires beneath the waves during low tide. Historians dismissed it as folklore until the devastating tsunami of 2004. As the waters receded, they scoured the coastline clean, exposing a series of startling underwater structures. Lion statues, temple pillars, even a gargantuan stone elephant, all perfectly preserved in the sand. The sea had guarded its secret long enough. Diving into these shallow waters today is like entering a dream. The temples, believed to date back to the 7th century Pallava dynasty, reveal astonishing craftsmanship. A submerged Shiva lingam stands amid scattered mandapas pillared halls, their ceilings adorned with lotus carvings that sunlight still catches at certain angles. Most striking are the reliefs, mythological scenes frozen in mid-narrative, as if the sea paused their stories mid-sentence. Marine archaeologists suspect these weren't drowned by disaster, but deliberately built near the shore as part of a vast ceremonial complex, only to be gradually claimed by rising sea levels. What makes Mahabalipuram's discovery so transformative isn't just the temples themselves, it's what they reveal about ancient India's maritime prowess. These shrines stood at the heart of a bustling port, where traders from as far as Rome and Southeast Asia exchanged silks, spices, and ideas. Their architectural style, blending Dravidian and Southeast Asian influences, hints at a cultural crossroads lost to time. Now, with each low tide and every archaeological survey, more pieces of this puzzle emerge. For historians, the real revelation lies in the timing. These temples sank centuries before Columbus set sail, proving that India's coastal civilizations were engaging with the wider world far earlier than previously thought. Local fishermen, meanwhile, nod knowingly. Their ancestors' stories, once dismissed as myth, have finally been validated by the sea itself. Standing on Mahabalipuram's shore at dawn, watching the sun gild the waves above these sunken shrines, you realize something profound: the past isn't always buried. Sometimes it's waiting just beneath the surface, ready to rise when the world is prepared to listen. And as the tides shift, revealing yet another carved pillar or weathered deity, we're reminded that history's greatest secrets often wash ashore when we least expect them. Beneath the golden sands of Saqqara, where the step pyramid casts its long shadow, lies a city of the dead so vast that we've only begun to map its secrets. While tourists flock to Giza's iconic pyramids, this sprawling necropolis, Egypt's original burial ground for kings and commoners alike, keeps revealing wonders that rewrite history. Think of it as a palimpsest, layer upon layer of tombs spanning 3,000 years, each excavation peeling back another chapter in the story of the afterlife. The real magic of Saqqara isn't just in its grand monuments, but in the quiet surprises still emerging from the dust. Take the cache of 59 sealed sarcophagi uncovered in 2020, their painted faces staring back at archaeologists untouched for 2,500 years. Or the recent discovery of a priest's tomb adorned with vibrant scenes of festivals and feasts, a snapshot of joy preserved in pigment. These aren't just artifacts, they're invitations to step into the daily rhythms of a civilization that obsessed over eternity. What's astonishing is how much remains hidden. Ground scans suggest thousands of undiscovered shafts and chambers lie beneath the surface, some likely belonging to high-ranking officials whose names have faded from records. Every digging season brings new revelations, a mummified lion cub here, a silver-gilded mask there, even entire workshops where embalmers perfected their craft. The scale is dizzying. Saqqara wasn't just a graveyard, but a bustling industry of death and devotion. Yet the most poignant finds are often the humblest. A child's burial with a tiny ivory toy, a baker's tomb inscribed with recipes for the bread he'd bake in the next world. These intimate glimpses remind us that Saqqara's true treasure isn't gold or grandeur, but humanity itself, fears, hopes, and quirks preserved across millennia. Archaeologists now face a race against time, with looters and rising groundwater threatening undiscovered chambers. But as laser mapping technology and genetic analysis unlock new clues, Saqqara promises more revelations. Each grain of sand here holds a story, waiting for the right hand to brush it away. And with every new tomb opened, we're not just uncovering the dead, we're resurrecting voices that refuse to be silenced. Along the rugged coastline of Greece's Gulf of Corinth, where fishing boats now bob gently on the water, an entire city disappeared in a single night, swallowed by the earth and sea without a trace. This is Helike, once a thriving hub of trade and culture, now a ghostly echo beneath layers of silt and salt water. Unlike other ancient ruins that crumbled gradually, Helike met its end with terrifying swiftness. In the winter of 373 BC, a violent earthquake shattered the ground beneath the city, followed by a monstrous tsunami that dragged buildings, statues, and lives into the abyss. By morning, nothing remained, just an eerie expanse of water where a bustling port had stood. For centuries, Helike existed only in scattered texts, a cautionary tale whispered by historians and philosophers. Some even speculate Plato drew inspiration from its tragic fate when crafting his Atlantis allegory. But in the 1990s, archaeologists made a discovery that blurred the line between myth and reality. Using ground-penetrating radar and magnetometry, they detected strange anomalies beneath the coastal mudflats near the village of Rizamilos. Digging deeper, they uncovered pottery shards, cobblestones, and the faint outlines of walls, all perfectly preserved under layers of sediment, like a city frozen in its final moments. What makes Helike so haunting isn't just its destruction, but its eerie state of preservation. Unlike Pompeii, sealed under volcanic ash, or Alexandria's sunken ruins, Helike's remains weren't scattered or looted. They were entombed intact, as if the earth folded over them in one decisive gesture. Bronze coins still bear the imprint of long-dead hands. Ceramic vessels lie where they were placed on shelves. Even more chilling are the human clues, skeletons found in collapsed buildings, their positions hinting at futile attempts to flee. It's a snapshot of catastrophe, untouched for millennia. Yet Helik's legacy extends beyond tragedy. Excavations revealed a city of surprising sophistication, with advanced drainage systems and a grid-like urban plan rare for its time. Its political influence was so strong that neighboring cities copied its coinage. Today, researchers pore over these details, piecing together how a place so vibrant could vanish so completely, and why its story resonated so deeply that it morphed into legend. Standing on the quiet shoreline today, with the waves lapping at the mudflats, it's hard not to feel the weight of Helik's absence. The same geological forces that destroyed it still simmer beneath the gulf, a reminder that the ground beneath our feet is never as solid as it seems. But in that vulnerability lies a strange comfort. Helik may have slipped beneath the waves, but its memory refuses to drown. And with every artifact lifted from the mud, the city whispers anew, bridging the gap between ancient disaster and modern curiosity. Beneath the whimsical, fairy chimneys of Cappadocia, those surreal, cone-shaped rock formations that dot the Turkish landscape, lies a world far more astonishing than its surface suggests. While visitors marvel at the region's otherworldly vistas, few realize that entire cities and churches exist below their feet, hidden in a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers carved straight into the soft volcanic rock. This isn't just architecture, it's an act of faith, endurance, and sheer defiance. Imagine fleeing for your life, clutching nothing but chisels and candles, as Roman soldiers hunted down followers of a forbidden religion. That was the reality for early Christians in Cappadocia, who transformed the very earth into sanctuary. Over centuries, they painstakingly hollowed out hundreds of underground churches, each adorned with biblical frescoes painted in rich blues, reds, and golds, colors that somehow retain their brilliance despite centuries of darkness. In the Gurim Valley alone, over 30 hidden chapels whisper of secret baptisms, whispered prayers, and a faith so resilient it outlasted empires. What's truly breathtaking isn't just the scale of these spaces, some large enough to hold congregations of hundreds, but their intimacy. In the Karanlik Kalai's dark church, delicate frescoes of Christ's life glow under careful lamplight, their pigments mixed with egg yolk for permanence. Nearby, the Tokali Kalai's buckle church unfolds like a sacred comic strip, its walls narrating scripture in vivid detail. The artists worked in near-total darkness, trusting their hands to guide them as they painted scenes meant for divine eyes alone. Yet Cappadocia's underground world isn't frozen in time. Locals still use ancient tunnels as cool storage for wine and produce, while archaeologists keep uncovering new chambers, some still sealed, their frescoes untouched by light since the day they were completed. Standing in one of these candlelit sanctuaries, the air thick with the scent of damp stone, you realize something profound. These weren't just hiding places. They were acts of devotion, a declaration that faith could flourish even in the darkest depths. And perhaps that's the greatest miracle of all. While empires rose and fell above ground, these subterranean churches endured, their artistry safeguarded by the very rock that concealed them. Today, as sunlight filters through their doorways for the first time in centuries, the frescoes seem to awaken whispering stories of courage, creativity, and the extraordinary lengths humans will go to preserve what matters most. Off the windswept shores of Yonaguni, Japan's westernmost island, the ocean hides a riddle carved in stone. Beneath the waves, a massive terraced structure rises like a sunken fortress, its sharp angles, flat platforms, and daunting staircases defying the randomness of nature. Discovered in the mid-80s by a diver exploring local marine life, the Yonaguni Monument has ignited one of archaeology's fiercest debates. Is this a geological oddity or the remnant of an ancient civilization swallowed by the sea? The monument's design is uncanny. Towering nearly 80 feet from the seabed, its sheer walls form near-perfect 90-degree angles, while its staggered platforms mirror ceremonial structures found in terrestrial ruins. A striking triangular formation, often called the Turtle, resembles altars from Okinawan sacred sites. Even more compelling are the twin megaliths at its apex, which appear deliberately placed, their surfaces unnaturally smooth compared to the surrounding coral-encrusted rock. Marine geologists point to the region's seismic activity, arguing that sandstone fractures naturally into geometric shapes, but skeptics counter, when does nature carve something that looks so intentionally architectural? Adding fuel to the mystery are tool marks reportedly found on certain surfaces, straight grooves, and chisel-like indentations that hint at human intervention. Nearby, divers have noted what some interpret as a carved human face and a series of circular depressions resembling ritual basins. Yet the most tantalizing clue might be the monument's alignment. Its principal terrace points toward the rising sun on the summer solstice, a feature common in ancient sacred sites worldwide. Could this be coincidence or a deliberate nod to celestial knowledge lost to time? The controversy deepens when considering the timeline. If human-made, Yonaguni would predate Japan's earliest known civilizations by thousands of years, suggesting a forgotten culture advanced enough to quarry and stack massive stones, only to vanish beneath rising seas as glaciers melted at the end of the last ice age. Legends from Okinawa speak of submerged cities, and geological records confirm that sea levels here rose nearly 120 meters since the Pleistocene epoch. But without definitive artifacts, pottery, tools, or inscriptions, the site remains an enigma, suspended between myth and science. Today, diving the Yonaguni monument feels like straddling two worlds. Schools of hammerhead sharks glide past its terraces, while the Pacific's currents whisper over its stones. Whether a masterpiece of nature or humanity, the structure's power lies in its defiance of easy answers. It challenges us to rethink what we know about the past and how much of history might still be waiting, silent and submerged, for the right moment to surface. In the quiet farmlands of China's Shaanxi province, where villagers once tilled the earth unaware of the empire sleeping beneath their feet, lies one of history's most tantalizing secrets, an unopened tomb so vast and so perilous that even modern archaeologists dare not disturb it. This is the final resting place of Qin Shi Huang, the ruthless unifier of China, whose terracotta army has captivated the world while the emperor himself remains entombed behind layers of earth, legend, and deadly defenses. The scale of this hidden complex defies imagination. While the famous clay soldiers stand in orderly ranks, their lifelike faces frozen in silent vigilance, they are merely the outermost sentinels of a necropolis designed to mirror the emperor's living kingdom. Ancient texts describe palaces, rivers of shimmering mercury simulating the Yangtze and Yellow rivers, and celestial constellations gleaming with pearls on the ceiling. But what truly chills the bones are the warnings: crossbows rigged to fire at intruders, pits designed to collapse, and toxic mercury vapors meant to seep through the soil. A 200-year-old security system still guarding its charge. Ground-penetrating radar and soil samples have confirmed traces of mercury in unnaturally high concentrations, aligning with historical accounts of the tomb's lethal protections. Yet the real deterrent isn't just poison or booby traps, it's the fear of destroying what we seek to understand. The terracotta warriors, once vibrant with paint, lost their colors within minutes of exposure to air. What irreversible damage might await the tomb's silk manuscripts, lacquerware, or even the emperor's own remains? Historians ache to peer inside. Qin Shi Huang didn't just conquer warring states, he standardized writing, currency, and law's foundations of modern China. His tomb could hold priceless artifacts or even the lost, burned books of Confucian scholars he famously ordered destroyed. But here's the paradox: the same emperor who craved immortality through elixirs and alchemy may have engineered his burial site to resist all intrusion, even by curious future generations. For now, the mound housing his tomb rises like a silent challenge, untouched by shovels or scanners. The terracotta army, with their individualized armor and stoic expressions, stand as both invitation and warning, a reminder that some doors once sealed were never meant to reopen. And as technology advances, the world watches, torn between reverence for the dead and the irresistible pull of secrets buried in the dark. Imagine a city so ancient, its streets predate Egypt's pyramids by thousands of years. A place where houses huddled together like honeycombs, their doorways built into rooftops, and vibrant murals of leopards and hunting scenes adorn the walls. This isn't a scene from a fantasy novel. It's Çatalhöyük, a 9,000-year-old metropolis buried beneath the plains of central Turkey, quietly rewriting our understanding of early urban life. What makes Çatalhöyük extraordinary isn't just its age, it's how alive it feels. Step inside one of its tightly packed mud brick homes, and you'll find traces of daily life frozen in time. Clay ovens still flecked with ancient soot, raised platforms where families slept, and even the faint imprints of woven mats pressed into the earth. But the real surprise, there were no streets. Residents moved across the rooftops, climbing down ladders into their homes, a design that suggests a community built on trust and collective living, where privacy took a backseat to shared space. The walls here tell stories in pigment and plaster. Vibrant frescoes depict vultures circling headless corpses, likely part of sky burial rituals, while other paintings burst with wild bulls and swirling geometric patterns. These aren't just decorations, they're windows into a belief system where humans, animals, and the supernatural intertwined. Archaeologists have even uncovered clay figurines of a voluptuous goddess, hinting at a matriarchal culture that revered fertility and nature's cycles. Yet Çatalhöyük's greatest revelation might be its defiance of conventional wisdom. Unlike later cities with palaces and temples, this Neolithic hub shows no signs of rulers or elites. Homes are nearly identical in size, their contents revealing little wealth disparity. Could this have been one of humanity's earliest experiments in egalitarianism? The evidence suggests a society where resources were shared and status wasn't flaunted, a radical contrast to the hierarchies that would dominate future civilizations. Today, as researchers painstakingly reconstruct Çatalhöyük's layers, they're piecing together more than just bricks and bones. They're uncovering a blueprint for how humans first learned to live together in large numbers, not through coercion but through cooperation. And in that dusty Turkish soil lies a humbling reminder: the roots of urban life might be far older and far more communal than we ever imagined. The past isn't just buried here, it's waiting, offering quiet lessons about the societies we've built and the ones we've yet to imagine. Beneath the stone temples of Chavin Labyrinth, where the Andes rise like jagged sentinels, an entire world unfolds in darkness. This isn't just an ancient religious site, it's a carefully engineered maze of tunnels designed to disorient, awe, and transport visitors into what the Chavin people believed was the realm of the gods. Walk these passageways today and you'll quickly realize every curve, every chamber was meant to make you lose your way physically and spiritually. The genius of Chavin's subterranean labyrinth lies in its duality. On one level, it's a feat of hydraulic engineering, with canals that still channel water through the tunnels after nearly 3,000 years. But on another, it's a psychological masterpiece. The corridors twist abruptly, their walls echoing with sounds that seem to come from nowhere. Blow a conch shell in one chamber, and its haunting drone reverberates through multiple passages at once, an acoustic trick that would have convinced ancient pilgrims they were hearing the voices of spirits. Even the play of light was manipulated. Narrow air vents allowed slivers of sunlight to pierce the darkness at precise moments, illuminating carvings of jaguars and serpents only during sacred alignments. At the heart of this underworld stands the Lanzon, a towering granite monolith shaped like a dagger, its grotesque deity face emerging from the shadows. Reaching it required navigating the maze, a ritual meant to mirror the journey of the soul. Scholars believe initiates were given hallucinogenic San Pedro cactus before entering, their altered states blending with the tunnel's disorienting effects to create visions of transformation. The deeper you went, the further you traveled from the human world, emerging reborn, or so the belief went. What's most striking, though, is how little we still understand. Recent LiDAR scans reveal undiscovered branches of the network, their purpose still a mystery, and the precision of the stonework smooth, interlocking blocks fitted without mortar. Hints at knowledge passed down through generations, then lost to time. Standing in these tunnels today, the air thick with damp earth and history, you realize Chavin's builders weren't just constructing a temple, they were crafting an experience, a bridge between realms. And in their echoes, their shadows, and their stubborn secrets, they left a challenge, to listen not just with our ears, but with the same wonder as those who walked here millennia ago. Rising from the arid plains of southeastern Iran like a mirage, the towering walls of Archaeological Bam stand as a testament to human ingenuity against the harshest odds. Imagine a fortress so vast, sprawling across nearly 200,000 square meters, that it functioned as both a military stronghold and a thriving desert oasis, its labyrinthine alleys sheltering thousands within the safety of sun-baked mud brick. For centuries, this was the beating heart of the Silk Road, where caravans laden with spices and silks found respite beneath its palm groves, and whispered secrets echoed through hidden tunnels beneath the citadel's foundations. Then, in an instant, disaster struck. The 2003 earthquake shattered Bam's ancient bones, reducing nearly 80% of the citadel to rubble. Towers that had withstood invasions crumbled, archways that framed desert sunsets for 2 millennia collapsed into dust. Satellite images revealed a landscape of broken walls and gaping voids, ghostly scars where homes, bazaars, and a grand governor's palace once thrived. It wasn't just a loss of architecture, it was the near erasure of a living archive, one that held clues to Persia's mercantile golden age, yet Bam refused to vanish. In the aftermath, an international coalition of archaeologists, engineers, and local craftsmen embarked on one of history's most ambitious restoration projects. Their mission, to rebuild without erasing the past, traditional adobe techniques passed down through generations became the blueprint. Workers sifted through debris, salvaging original bricks stamped with centuries-old fingerprints, while ground-penetrating radar revealed untouched chambers beneath the ruins, some still containing fragments of Silk Road textiles and glazed pottery. What makes Bam's resurrection so profound isn't just the technical feat, it's the symbolism. Every reconstructed wall carries the weight of cultural defiance. Beneath the citadel's outer defenses, explorers uncovered a network of subterranean tunnels, likely used to funnel water or evade sieges, their ceilings blackened by ancient torches. Nearby, a hidden Zoroastrian fire temple emerged from the debris, its existence hinting at the site's pre-Islamic roots. Each discovery stitches another thread into the fabric of Iran's layered identity. Today, wandering Bam's partially restored lanes, you'll find echoes of both tragedy and triumph. Scaffolds cradle fragile arches, while freshly mixed adobe dries in the sun, an alchemy of old and new. Locals speak of the citadel not as a relic but as a phoenix rising from the cracks, its survival a testament to the resilience of collective memory. For travelers, it's a rare chance to witness history mid-rebirth, a place where every repaired wall whispers, "We are still here," and perhaps that's the silent power of Bam. Beyond the archaeology, beyond the grandeur of its walls, it stands as a monument to hope, proof that even when the earth itself seems determined to bury the past, human hands and hearts can piece it back together. The Citadel's story isn't just about preservation. It's about the unbreakable thread connecting those who built it, those who lost it, and those who dared to rebuild. Just off the coast of Israel, where the Mediterranean's waves now glisten under the sun, an entire village sleeps beneath the surface, a place where time stood still 9,000 years ago. This is Atlet Yam, one of the most haunting and perfectly preserved underwater settlements ever discovered. Unlike shipwrecks or sunken cities lost to earthquakes, this Neolithic village was swallowed slowly by the sea. Its stone houses, ritual sites, and even the skeletons of its inhabitants left eerily intact, as if the ocean gently sealed them in amber. What makes Atlet Yam extraordinary isn't just its age, it's the snapshot it offers of humanity's first steps toward settled life. Here, archaeologists uncovered stone-built wells, proof that these early farmers mastered freshwater access centuries before Egypt's pyramids rose. Nearby, circular stone arrangements, some aligned with solstice patterns, hint at rituals tied to the land and seasons, but the most poignant discovery: the bones of a woman and child buried side by side, their remains whispering of familial bonds that transcend millennia. Analysis of their teeth revealed traces of tuberculosis, making these some of the earliest known victims of the disease, a reminder that even in prehistory, humanity faced familiar struggles. The village's fate reads like a slow-motion prophecy for our own climate reality. As glaciers melted at the end of the last ice age, rising seas crept inland by inches each year, forcing generations to adapt until the water won. Unlike sudden disasters like Pompeii, Atlet Yam's drowning was a patient tragedy, giving its people time to leave but ensuring their world would vanish beneath the waves. Today, diving here feels like trespassing in a ghostly dream. Stone mortars still perch where hands once ground grain, and wooden posts mark the outlines of homes long dissolved by time. Yet Atlet Yam's legacy is anything but silent. Its ruins challenge our assumptions about primitive societies. Evidence of domesticated crops, fishing nets weighted with stones, and even early attempts at animal husbandry paint a picture of innovation and resourcefulness. This wasn't just a village, it was an experiment in survival, a blueprint for the agricultural revolution that would reshape civilization. Standing on the shore today, watching the tide lap at the sand, it's hard not to feel the weight of Atlet Yam's lesson. The same forces that submerged this village rising seas, shifting climates now threaten coastal communities worldwide. But in its quiet ruins, there's also hope, proof of human resilience, of communities that adapted, moved, and carried their knowledge forward. The stones beneath the waves may be silent, but their message ripples through time. On the windswept desert plains of Peru, where the Soup River cuts through barren hills, an entire civilization once thrived long before the Inca, centuries before even the first stones of Egypt's pyramids were laid. This is Caral, a city so ancient that its origins stretch back nearly 5,000 years, making it the oldest urban center in the Americas. Yet for millennia, its 6 monumental stepped pyramids lay buried under layers of sand, their existence erased from memory until the late 1990s, when archaeologists peeled back the earth and uncovered a revelation. A society that flourished without war, without weapons, and without the shadows of conflict that stained so many other ancient cultures. What's striking about Caral isn't just its age, it's how it thrived. Unlike other early civilizations that rose through conquest, Caral's people forged their legacy through trade, music, and astronomy. Walk through the ruins today and you'll find no fortifications, no depictions of battle, only the remnants of grand plazas, sunken amphitheaters, and pyramids aligned with celestial events. The largest structure, the Pyramid Maya, rises like a terraced mountain over the valley, its stones whispering of rituals that honored the stars and the earth. Here, conch shell trumpets once echoed across ceremonial spaces, their music carried by the wind, while traders exchanged crops and textiles with distant communities along the coast and highlands. But Carroll's most haunting mystery lies in its sudden emergence. How did a society with no precedent suddenly master urban planning, agriculture, and monumental architecture? The answer might lie in the land itself. The Soup Valley's fertile soil, fed by seasonal floods, allowed Carroll's farmers to cultivate crops like squash and cotton, resources so valuable they became the currency of a peaceful trade network. Archaeologists have even uncovered quipu knotted cords used for record keeping, suggesting an early form of bureaucracy, centuries before the Inca refined the system. Yet Carroll's greatest gift to history might be its silent challenge to our assumptions. In a world where ancient ruins often speak of kings and conquests, this city whispers of cooperation. Its art depicts musicians, not warriors. Its temples celebrate harvests, not victories. Even its decline remains a puzzle, no evidence of invasion, just a gradual return to the earth as shifting climates dried the rivers and the sands reclaimed the pyramids. Standing in Carroll's shadow today, you can't help but feel the weight of its quiet revolution. This wasn't just a city, it was an experiment in harmony, a reminder that civilization doesn't always need swords to thrive. And as the desert wind hums through its empty corridors, Carroll's legacy endures not in grand battles or golden treasures, but in the radical idea that the first chapters of human progress might have been written in peace. Deep beneath the rolling countryside of northern France, where the earth opens up into a vast network of tunnels, lies a hidden sanctuary that has sheltered people for centuries, not just from war, but from time itself. This is the underground city of Naurs, a labyrinth of over 300 chambers carved into soft limestone, a place where history isn't just preserved, it's inscribed on the walls by the hands of those who sought refuge here. What began as a medieval quarry, its stone used to build cathedrals and homes above ground, soon became something far more extraordinary. As conflict swept through France over the ages, from the 100 Years' War to the chaos of the Revolution, locals expanded the tunnels into a full-fledged subterranean village. Complete with stables, bakeries, and even a chapel, Naurs wasn't just a hiding place, it was an entire world beneath the surface, capable of sustaining thousands for months. But the most haunting chapter of Naurs' story unfolded during World War I. As the Western Front tore through the region, soldiers from both sides, Australians, British, Canadians, and Germans, stumbled upon these tunnels and took shelter within them. Far from home, surrounded by the roar of artillery above, they left behind traces of their presence that still endure today. Etched into the soft limestone walls are thousands of names, dates, and even intricate carvings. Some depict regimental badges, others crude cartoons or heartfelt messages to loved ones. One inscription reads simply, "James W. slept here 1916. Walking these corridors now, the weight of that moment is palpable. Unlike grand monuments or battlefields, these carvings aren't polished or heroic. They're raw, immediate, and deeply personal. Some soldiers meticulously chiseled their details as if desperate to be remembered. Others scrawled hastily, their letters wobbling under the flicker of lamplight. And because limestone preserves like nature's own parchment, these marks feel startlingly fresh, as if the men who made them had just stepped away. Yet Naurs' true power lies in its duality. This wasn't just a wartime refuge, it was a place where humanity persisted. Soldiers held impromptu concerts in the caverns, their voices bouncing off the arched ceilings. They traded rations, shared stories, and in rare moments of ceasefire, even interacted with the enemy. The tunnels became a strange neutral ground where the chaos above faded into eerie quiet. Today, as you descend into Nea's cool depths, the past feels closer than ever. Laser scans have recently uncovered new sections of the network, some still bearing the soot marks of ancient torches. And in the silent alcoves where soldiers once rested, you might catch an echo of laughter or the ghostly scrape of a knife against stone, reminders that even in darkness people leave behind light. Nea's doesn't just tell us about survival, it shows us the indomitable urge to say, "I was here," and across centuries the walls whisper back, "We remember." Rising like a mirage from the grasslands of southern Africa, the stone towers of Great Zimbabwe stand as silent sentinels of a forgotten kingdom. For centuries, European explorers refused to believe these monumental ruins, some walls stretching over 30 feet high, could have been built by African hands. They spun wild tales of Phoenician traders or even biblical figures like King Solomon, clinging to racist myths rather than acknowledging the truth. This was the heart of a thriving indigenous empire, one that dominated trade routes long before European ships rounded the Cape of Good Hope. The scale of Great Zimbabwe's stonework is staggering. Without mortar, builders stacked granite blocks into curved walls and conical towers, their precise cuts fitting together like a puzzle. This wasn't just functional architecture, it was a statement of power. At its peak between the 11th and 15th centuries, the city was a bustling hub of gold, ivory, and copper trade, its wealth echoing across the Indian Ocean to places as far as China and Persia. Archaeologists have unearthed fragments of Ming Dynasty porcelain and Arab glassware, proof of a global network anchored in Africa. Yet the most revealing discoveries aren't the artifacts, but the everyday traces of life. Grain bins hint at sophisticated agriculture, iron smelting furnaces speak to metallurgical mastery, and then there's the soapstone bird carvings, symbols of authority found atop pillars, their details so precise they're now emblazoned on Zimbabwe's national flag. These weren't crude imitations of foreign cultures, they were expressions of a unique identity, one that colonial forces tried desperately to erase. Modern archaeology has dismantled those false narratives, but the legacy of distortion lingers. Early 20th century treasure hunters dynamited parts of the site, searching for non-existent white gold, instead of listening to the oral histories passed down by the Shona people. Today, painstaking research from pottery analysis to carbon dating confirms what local communities always knew: Great Zimbabwe was theirs. Its decline remains debated, with theories ranging from drought to shifting trade routes, but its message is unmistakable. Standing in the shadow of the great enclosure, a walled structure so vast it rivals medieval European castles, you feel the weight of a reclaimed history. This isn't just a ruin, it's a rebuttal. Every stone whispers of innovation, ambition, and resilience, forcing the world to confront a truth too long denied. Africa's past is as layered, as sophisticated, and as worthy of awe as any ancient civilization. And with each new generation of scholars and visitors, Great Zimbabwe rises again, not just in memory but in rightful pride. Beneath the towering pyramid of the feathered serpent in Teotihuacan, where the ancient avenues stretch toward the horizon like celestial pathways, lies a secret that defies explanation, a labyrinth of tunnels, chambers, and liquid mercury, deliberately hidden beneath layers of volcanic rock. This isn't just another archaeological site, it's a carefully engineered enigma, a puzzle left behind by a civilization that mastered city building on a monumental scale, yet vanished without leaving a single decipherable text to explain their purpose. When researchers first discovered the tunnel system under the pyramid in 2003, they expected storage rooms or burial chambers. What they found instead was something far stranger: pools of shimmering mercury, meticulously placed in chambers sealed off from the outside world. In Mesoamerican cosmology, Mercury represented the underworld's sacred waters, a mirror-like portal to the realm of the dead. Was this a symbolic pathway for rulers to commune with ancestors? A trap for trespassers, or something even more otherworldly? The deeper they ventured, the more questions arose. The precision of Teotihuacan's design only deepens the intrigue. Unlike later Aztec sites teeming with carvings and codices, this city speaks in whispers through the alignment of its pyramids with celestial events, the hidden acoustics that amplify ritual chants, and now this mercury-laden underworld. Archaeologists have uncovered jade statues, jaguar remains, and even tiny sculptures of eyes, all arranged with deliberate care, yet no one knows who ruled here, or why the entire metropolis was abandoned around 550 AD, its grand plazas left to the elements. What lingers most is the eerie intentionality of it all. The tunnel's entrance was buried under tons of rubble, as if sealing away something too powerful or too sacred to be left accessible. And that mercury, it wasn't just dumped, it formed reflective pools, suggesting rituals where priests or elites might have glimpsed visions in its toxic, rippling surface. Modern scientists wear protective gear to study the site, but those ancient builders worked without masks, breathing in the vapors as part of their rites. Teotihuacan's silence is its loudest statement. A city this grand, with pyramids rivaling Egypt's, didn't need words to command awe. Its power is in the unsolved, the way shadows stretch precisely along the avenue of the dead during equinoxes, the way the mercury tunnels mirror constellations above. Walking these ruins today, you don't just see history, you feel the weight of its unanswered questions pulsing like a heartbeat underfoot, and perhaps that's the point. Some mysteries weren't meant to be cracked, they were meant to endure, pulling us deeper into the shadows of the past. The lost splendor of Usicia, a Roman masterpiece beneath a schoolyard. Imagine a quiet French town preparing to build a new high school. Backhoes dig into the earth, workers survey the site, and then clink. The sound of metal against ancient stone changes everything. What was meant to be a modern construction project suddenly became a window into a lost world, the buried Roman city of Usicia, hidden for over 1,500 years beneath layers of soil and forgotten memory. What emerged from the earth was nothing short of breathtaking. Elaborate mosaics, their colors still vivid, sprawled across the floors of a once grand Roman villa. Swirling geometric patterns framed scenes of ducks, deer, and mythical creatures, each tile placed with astonishing precision. These weren't crude designs, they were masterpieces of Gallo-Roman artistry, proof that Usicia was far from a provincial backwater. This was a place of wealth, culture, and cosmopolitan taste, where Mediterranean influences blended with local Celtic traditions. The real shock, no one expected Usicia to be here at all. Ancient texts mentioned the city in passing, but its exact location had faded into legend. Historians assumed it was lost forever until a routine infrastructure project cracked open the past. As archaeologists carefully peeled back the earth, they uncovered more than just mosaics. A network of streets, a bakery with its oven intact, even a public building adorned with columns. This wasn't just a single villa, it was an entire urban center frozen in time. But why was Usicia abandoned? The answer lies in the layers. Like so many Roman settlements, it likely declined as the empire crumbled, its buildings repurposed or reclaimed by nature. Over centuries, floods and silt buried the city so thoroughly that farmers tilled fields above it, unaware of the splendor beneath their feet. Today, Usicia's rediscovery forces us to confront a humbling truth. History isn't always found in distant deserts or deep jungles. Sometimes it's right under our sidewalks and schoolyards, waiting for a chance encounter to bring it back to light. And with each tile uncovered, we're reminded that even the most ordinary places can hold extraordinary secrets if we're willing to dig a little deeper. Nestled in the mist-shrouded valleys of central Vietnam, far from the well-trodden paths to Angkor Wat, the crumbling brick towers of Emletawanief 9 Son rise like echoes of a forgotten hymn. This sacred complex, once the spiritual epicenter of the Champa kingdom, is a testament to devotion and resilience where Hindu gods danced in stone, and wars both ancient and modern tried but failed to erase their legacy. What makes Emletawanief 9 Son extraordinary isn't just its artistry, it's its defiance. Between the 4th and 14th centuries, Cham rulers transformed this river-fed sanctuary into a symphony of red brick and sandstone, their towers adorned with carvings of Shiva, Vishnu, and mythical guardians. Unlike the monumental scale of Angkor, Emletawanief 9 Son's power lies in its intimacy. Every brick was laid without mortar, fused by a lost technique using organic resins, and every relief seems to pulse with movement, dancers frozen mid-step, deities mid-breath. Then came the bombs. During the Vietnam War, this UNESCO-listed treasure became collateral damage, its temples cratered by explosives, centuries of history shattered in moments. Photographs from the 1970s show towers reduced to skeletal fragments, their sculptures littering the ground like broken prayers. Yet even in ruin, Emletawanief 9 Son refused to vanish. Local monks secretly safeguarded fragments. Archaeologists later pieced together scenes like divine jigsaw puzzles. Today, careful restoration using original Cham methods has revived some towers, their intricate carvings of lotus blooms and celestial musicians emerging anew from the scars. But the true miracle isn't just the rebuilding, it's the untold stories clinging to these stones. Walk the overgrown paths and you'll notice something haunting. Bullet holes alongside 9th century carvings, war's violence etched beside scenes of creation. The Cham people, whose descendants still live in Vietnam, were never fully conquered neither by the Khmer, nor colonialism, nor modern conflict. Their culture persists in rituals, textiles, and the quiet pride of guides who trace their lineage back to these builders. To visit Emletawanief 9 Son now is to witness a dialogue across time. Morning light slants through bullet-riddled walls, illuminating carvings of goddesses who have survived empires and explosives. The air hums with cicadas and the occasional chime of a restoration team's chisel. It's a place where history isn't sealed behind glass, it's breathing, broken, and still beautiful. And as the jungle slowly reclaims what war could not destroy, these towers stand as silent witnesses to an unshakable truth. Culture, like the roots of the strangler figs weaving through the bricks, finds a way to endure. Beneath the crystal-clear waters of Crete's Lalibela Bay, where sunlight dances over white sand and lazy currents sway the seaweed, an entire city sleeps just beneath the waves. This is Aulis, a once thriving Minoan port that vanished beneath the Mediterranean, not in a catastrophic collapse, but in a slow, inexorable surrender to the sea. Today, snorkelers glide above its skeletal remains, where ancient streets and crumbled walls trace ghostly outlines in the shallows, so close to the surface that sunlight paints every stone with shimmering detail. What makes Aulis extraordinary isn't just its accessibility, it's the eerie normalcy of its ruins. Unlike shipwrecks or temples swallowed by earthquakes, this city feels frozen in midlife. Submerged doorframes still mark the boundaries of homes. Fragments of pottery litter the seabed where they were last set down, the most striking feature. A long, intact section of mosaic floor, its geometric patterns defiantly vibrant despite centuries underwater. Archaeologists believe these were public baths or market squares, spaces where traders haggled over Cretan wine and fishermen unloaded their catches, unaware their bustling world would one day become an underwater museum. Theories about Aulis's fate vary. Some point to gradual sea level rise as melting glaciers from the last ice age pushed the Mediterranean higher inch by inch, forcing residents to retreat until their city was no longer habitable. Others suggest earthquakes destabilized the land, causing sections to sink abruptly. But perhaps the most haunting clue lies in the city's wells, now filled with seawater, their depths revealing layers of abandonment, broken amphorae, discarded tools, and finally, silence. Snorkeling here is like floating through a dream. Schools of silvery fish dart between toppled columns, while octopuses curl into ancient cisterns. Local guides point out the faint etchings of linear, a script on a few submerged stones, the untranslated language of the Minoans, a tantalizing puzzle just out of reach. And near the harbor's edge, a lone stone foundation resembles a podium, sparking speculation that it once held a statue of a sea god, now lost to the tides. Aulus's real power lies in its fragility. Unlike grand monuments like Pompeii or Petra, this city wasn't preserved by disaster. It was gently erased, its story rewritten by the sea's patient hands. Yet in that vulnerability, there's a quiet beauty. The water that took Aulus also protected it, shielding its stones from looters and time's harsher grip. Today, as divers trace its sunken streets, they're not just exploring ruins, they're walking the same paths as Minoan merchants, their footprints replaced with flippers, their curiosity an echo across millennia. And so Aulus lingers, neither fully lost nor fully remembered. It's a place where history doesn't shout but whispers, where the past isn't buried but suspended, waiting just beneath the surface for anyone willing to plunge in and listen. The silent race between discovery and loss, our ancient tomorrow. Barely a month goes by without headlines announcing yet another astonishing find. A Roman villa beneath a parking lot, a Mayan megalopolis hidden by jungle, an entire Bronze Age village revealed by retreating glaciers. It's easy to forget, for every site we uncover, countless others vanish before we even knew they existed. The future of these hidden places hangs in a delicate balance, shaped by two opposing forces: our rapidly advancing technology and the relentless pressures of a changing world. Ground-penetrating radar now peers through layers of soil like an X-ray, while AI sifts through satellite imagery to spot subtle disturbances in vegetation that hint at buried ruins. In Norway, researchers recently used laser mapping to identify a 1,000-year-old Viking ship burial without lifting a single shovel. But even as these tools revolutionize archaeology, climate change accelerates erosion, rising seas drown coastal ruins, and urban sprawl paves over history. The very glaciers melting in the Alps are exposing prehistoric artifacts, only to wash them away before they can be documented. The ethical dilemmas deepen with each discovery. Should we excavate fragile sites now, risking damage to preserve them, or leave them protected underground for future generations with better technology? Indigenous communities increasingly demand a voice in how ancestral sites are handled, while looters armed with metal detectors and drones target newly revealed locations faster than archaeologists can secure them. The 2020 theft of ancient petroglyphs in Hawaii, sliced from cliffs with power tools, underscores the urgency, yet there's a profound optimism in this race against time. Every uncovered fragment, whether a Neanderthal cave in Spain or a lost Persian city in Iraq, adds another thread to humanity's shared story. These aren't just relics, they're bridges. When divers recovered a 3,000-year-old cargo ship off the coast of Turkey, its jars still sealed with honey and olives, it wasn't just a shipwreck. It was a grocery list from the Bronze Age, a tangible link to lives lived millennia ago. What happens next will define our legacy. Will we be the generation that documented and safeguarded these connections, or the one that stood by as they crumbled? The answer lies in our willingness to see the modern world not as separate from history, but as its custodian, because the past isn't a static artifact, it's a conversation. And somewhere beneath our cities, forests, and waves, the next chapter of that dialogue waits patiently for its turn to speak. The hidden layers beneath our feet, a final invitation to explore every corner of our modern world hums with echoes of the past, some whispers, some deafening reminders that history never truly disappears. These 35 ancient sites, from the underwater streets of Aulis to the celestial pyramids of Caral, aren't just relics, they're living puzzles, daring us to reconsider the ground we walk on. What seems ordinary, a parking lot, a subway tunnel, a farmer's field, might guard secrets older than nations, older than languages, older than memory itself. There's a quiet thrill in realizing how fragile these connections are. A single storm can expose a lost city. A routine construction project might unveil a mosaic that hasn't seen light in millennia. Yet with each discovery, we're offered something rare, a chance to step out of time, to walk where a Roman child once played or stand where a pharaoh's architect plotted immortality. These sites don't just belong to archaeologists, they're our shared inheritance, fragments of a story that stretches across continents and centuries. But here's the real magic. The next great revelation could be hiding anywhere. Maybe it's beneath your own city, waiting for a curious mind to ask what's under there. History isn't confined to textbooks or museums. It's woven into the fabric of everyday life if we're willing to look closely enough. Now it's your turn. Have you stood somewhere that made time feel thin? An ancient alley in Kyoto, a Viking burial mound in Norway, or even your hometown's oldest building? Drop your favorite hidden gem in the comments and let's keep the conversation alive. And if these journeys into the past have sparked your curiosity, hit subscribe for more deep dives into history's unsolved mysteries. The next lost city might already be on our horizon. Who knows what stories it's waiting to tell? The past isn't done speaking. Are you listening?